All right, welcome to the Saturday edition of Rev Talk. We are getting ready for one of America's favorite time, and that is July 4th. We're going to talk about that today because that's coming down the pipes. Coming up. When is that? That's Friday. That's coming up this Friday. So the question of the day is, are you planning on doing something for the 4th of July? If you are, let me know that in the comments. Is it full steam ahead? Do you guys even care what's going on? I'm experiencing a thunderstorm right now outside. So if for some strange reason the power goes out, you'll know why. You'll know why. Huge electrical storm right now in Cochrane. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. You guys are having a fantastic weekend. You should be celebrating 4th of July today with fireworks and everything. That way, in case anything happens next weekend, you'll be okay. You'll be safe. You'll be safe. So what are your thoughts? Are you going to be celebrating the 4th of July in America? We actually get to practice first on July 1st. So in Canada, we celebrate a few days ahead of you guys. So we'll make sure it's all safe and sound. And then you guys can jump in on Friday. You can jump in and do your 4th of July. But there are rumors right now that in California, some events are being canceled because they're worried the National Guard, ICE, all this kind of stuff is going to come into the town and actually start deporting immigrants. It's kind of weird because I thought there were rules against that kind of stuff, but I guess apparently you could just go up to anyone you want on the streets and arrest them without any question just because they look a certain way, and you can remove them. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I've been watching some of the footage on TV, some of the news, and I'm like, this is bizarre. This is bizarre world. All right. So let me, I don't know. I did invite Rick. I don't know what he's up to today. He could be working on his movie. Don't know. Let's have a look at this little video here. Let's have a look at this little video clip. See what's going on in America.
A few communities are canceling popular Independence Day events over safety concerns surrounding immigration raids.
Alina Bovian joins us live from Bell Gardens with reaction to the news about one of the most popular holidays in Southern California. Alina.
Hi, good evening. That's right. These are events that draw tens of thousands of people, and it's something that children specifically look forward to every 4th of July. But now these city officials, they are urging the public to stay home.
The annual 4th of July celebrations will not be happening this year in some LA County cities. The cities of Cudahy, Huntington Park, and Bell Gardens announcing they're either postponing or canceling their Independence Day festivities due to concerns over community safety following recent federal immigration raids.
Honestly, in a way,
Isn't that interesting? They're canceling 4th of July. How do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about that? It's crazy, right? I know we were talking last week. I think it was either on Uptime or it was on, might have been a late show with, I don't think I was on Departure Heaven. Don't think so. Actually, this Monday I might go on there. But last week's Rev Talk, last Sunday, we're talking about what's happening in Washington, that there are eyes in Washington that maybe perhaps something could be going down in Washington. It feels weird this time around compared to previous years. Previous years, it wasn't even on my radar that something could happen in America on the 4th of July. In December, we were doing some predictions, and we were talking about the idea that, New Year's Day, like don't go to New York City, don't go to Manhattan to watch the countdown, don't do any of that stuff because it could be crazy. And it turned out it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad at all. Hey, brother Mike, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you? Let me set this up to stream to my audience.
For sure. Take your time. Take your time. So basically, we're just recapping a little bit. In December, we were predicting that perhaps on January 1st, it could be quite potentially very dangerous for people to go to New York City and watch the countdown. At least some of us were talking that way, saying it could be a little dicey. Who knows what's going to happen, right? Because things were just gearing up and it was kind of unpredictable. And then, of course, the Tesla Cybertruck blew up on January 1st, and then off we were. Off we went to the races. And it's interesting that there were actually fireworks in that car or in that Cybertruck. And now we've been talking about this a little bit, and I don't want to try and hype this thing up any more than it is, but it feels eerily quiet right now leading into July 4th. And I'm wondering if there isn't going to be something big happening, perhaps a distraction from all the wars and things that are going on outside of America. But I think it's on the Friday, the 4th, isn't it this week? I think it's the 4th. First,
That's a
let's
good
see.
question. Let me look.
First is on Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah,
Thursday,
it's Friday.
4th. Yeah, so Friday, if you're going to do something spectacular as a terrorist, I think Friday would be a good day for that, specifically a ballpark or a stadium or something like that, because if you interrupt America's pastime, you're going to cause panic all over the place. You're going to cause panic. And people might be asking, well, why are you talking this way? Why are you saying that there has to be anything? Well, the United States attacked Iran, and they're saying it's over. It's over. The war's over. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing at all. And yet there's rumors that there are sleeper cells. There are people that are in the United States right now that could cause some damage. And I wanted to get an American to tell me, am I crazy? Because up in Canada, we're watching you guys. We're keeping an eye. We're on the wall, man. We're watching you guys because there's always something crazy going on in America. What do you think, Mike?
So my take, I'm a timeline guy. I build timelines, and I don't see anything for July 4th coming up. But what I am seeing on the political front from a guy that's been, alive for 60 years is what's about to happen. And I don't know if it's July 4th or tomorrow or in the next 5 minutes. What's about to happen is not Iran and their proxies or anybody attacking anybody. It's a false flag that's coming up to galvanize the American people, because that's what they need to say, what did Iran just do? Like the Twin Towers. And that's another reason why we have to go, because we're seeing right through all this garbage. It's all garbage. None of it's real. And
yeah.
Trump is friends with Bibi. He didn't call him an idiot or drop the F-bomb because he was upset. They're all playing a game, and they're all playing with people. They think they're smarter than we are. And for the most part, they are. For the most part, they're dealing with the average American that's not into the Bible and doesn't see what's coming. And the only way to get to the point where I can't believe what these guys, can you believe they brought, the Twin Towers is nothing compared to what they're about to do. And what they're about to do is get rid of quite a few Americans, and the rest of us are going to just rise up. We're just going to rise up and say, go do what you got to do. Nuke? Yeah, go ahead. Right now? No, we're like, no, you're not. If anybody had dropped the nuke, that would have been so bad. But here shortly, American people are going to be screaming for them to do it. Watch what they do. It's right around the corner.
That's what I feel as well, that something is up, because you can cut the tension right now with a knife. That's how thick it feels right now. And I never felt this last year. And it's not that I want stuff to happen. Like that's the, we're not trying to get this all hyped up and get everything. That's the last thing I want to do. But the
But we gotta
timing of
watch.
it,
You see the sword falling, you gotta warn. It's
yeah, and
coming.
that's
It's coming.
that's what we're trying to do, is just to say, you know what, just kind of be alert, if you will, because I'm not saying be paranoid of people, but if you want to if you want to get people together, you need a common enemy on your home front. Like, think of, again, like you said, 9/11. The next day people were mad. They're
Mhm.
like, and they're
It
also
was a
going to
test.
church as well. They were all
That was a
flocking back to church.
yeah.
And also they were saying we are one, and we will take out anyone that is against us. Anyone that's not
Mhm.
for us is against us. And I think the rest of the world kind of fell in line with that as well. Like, we were cheering you guys on. We were like, this is horrible what happened on American soil. And
Mhm.
it was basically, you could feel the ripple all around the world. I haven't felt that ripple for a while, where Americans are all on one page. It feels like you're actually right down the middle. And I don't know what happened to
Mhm.
Biden. Like, he is totally, the Democrats, everything, like, they're not in the news at all. Like,
It's
they're
all
not
silent,
even,
though.
there's nothing, like,
Yeah.
zero interest in the
Yeah.
Democrat Party.
Yeah, they just want to show everybody in America, look, your fuel prices are down, things are going okay, not great, but here we go. And they just did this, and every single American, Trump's approval rating is going to spike
Yeah.
to literally everyone that breathes in America. And that's exactly what they want. They know he's
Yeah.
the only guy that can get that done. And we're
Yeah.
going to stand behind whatever he says. And he's going to be like, Iran, I said peace. I took out your nuclear things. I warned you that it was
Yeah.
coming, so I didn't
Yeah.
harm any, you know, Iranians over there. Here we are, and you went ahead and did this anyway.
Yeah.
All bets are off. They get the war that they want. Russia gets involved. China gets involved. It's a black flag event that's coming. You know that cartoon they have on Facebook of the guy riding the bicycle holding a stick, and he throws the stick into his own spokes, and then he crashes and he blames Biden or whoever. That's what we're doing. We're riding the bike. We're holding the stick. We're about to throw the stick into the spikes, and we're going to be like, I can't believe Iran just did this.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what it kind of feels like. And I honestly think that in America, you don't even have to have a bunch of people hurt. I think you guys are on such a tight trigger wire that you guys, it could be just a rumor. It could be something where maybe you catch somebody and he really looks the part. He really looks the part, whatever it is. It could be suspicion of what he has on him or something like that, going to a building, and maybe the news is following this guy or whatever, like OJ Simpson, following him on a Bronco for like all day. You want to get people's attention. You have somebody pretending to off themselves on behalf of Iran or something. You don't even need them near a building. You just follow them down the highway, and you get all the police cars, and you get all the army, and you get all the news helicopters and everything all on the 4th of July. People are going to be watching for this. And then if the guy turns himself in, whatever it is, then you're going to listen to a press conference on Saturday and then Sunday. And then, hey, we got to go and take out other nuclear rumor facilities in Iran. We found out that there were more because this guy had maps on him about other facilities. It was weird. He kept a blueprint of their next facility underground or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden you're in. Everybody's on board. And they're like, yeah, this guy was going to actually take us out. Let's go to war. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's bigger than that. That could possibly get quite a few people, but a lot of people are going to be like, okay, you had the maps, but when they bring down the Twin Towers, I think was a test to see how America what would we do, and it's going to be I think it's going to be a bigger event than that. I really do,
Well,
I
what
think
could
it's
be?
right around the corner.
let's war game this out a little bit. What could be a bigger event than taking down buildings? I think that's kind of old school now. Like
Yeah.
a stadium where people are,
I
a sports, because if you hit America in the heart, it's almost like sports.
Yeah, I know that they were talking back in the 80s about a bunch of suitcases that came up missing, and they didn't know where they were, and Russia sold them to certain people, and they find one here and there, but apparently there's still several of them missing. So that might be something, a minor event like that, and New York.
I guess
I've been to New York. I love New York. It's a beautiful, beautiful city to be in. But unfortunately, they just brought in a guy to mayor in there, and I'm just baffled by what they're thinking. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
So that
what would
that would
put
never
fear, what would put fear in you right now today? What would have to be something that would be like, I think of things like going on a bridge, and I didn't give myself a thumbs down. I don't know why I gave a thumbs down to that. AI didn't like that one, that suggestion. I don't like the idea of going on long bridges.
Yeah.
If it doesn't
My wife's
feel
like
safe,
that. It doesn't bother me.
right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if you get traffic. Like, remember that bridge in Baltimore that went down? Like, that was horrible. But there was nobody on the bridge except for the workers, which I did a whole series. I was just on that every single day.
Wasn't that amazing?
Yeah, it was. It seemed so uncanny that the barge hit the bridge and the whole thing came down. And the workers that were on that bridge, they didn't get any warning whatsoever. That's the tragedy in this whole thing. They blocked off both sides so traffic couldn't go on. And as soon as the last car went off the bridge, it collapsed. And I'm like, you guys, whoever did that, like, they left those workers out to dry, basically.
Yeah.
And I feel like that caught our attention for a little while. That caught our attention. So if you do something,
that's all they need, though.
Yeah,
you just need our short attention span.
Yes.
On an item, go ahead, bomb Iran. You know what I'm saying? And then we're like, okay, that's enough. Hold back. And we'll back. I mean, not me, but these people will back them up wholeheartedly. Initially, and then they'll back out. I mean, the horrors of what we saw done in Japan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's just horror. And again, I think it was just a test to see. They didn't really need to do that, but it was a test to see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
I actually was watching some documentaries on how World War II started, and we are eerily similar to what's going on right now. Eerily meaning we could be entering into World War III. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about that. They say that's the end. But let's just say, for example, that it isn't the end and we do go into World War III. What's happening right now with China amassing, doing war games, if you will, exercises around Taiwan, that's one thing going on. Russia keeps doing things in Ukraine because they believe that their piece of land is there. The piece of land in Ukraine is theirs. China believes Taiwan is part of theirs. Israel doesn't want the Palestinians to be on their coast. And you get all these little, and then the U.S. is kind of taking shots here and there into Iran. Like, I don't think we fully appreciate may not be the right word to use, how close we are to a world war.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's the war that they want. This peace agreement will not be signed while we're here, because the person that signs the peace agreement is the Antichrist. We will not be here to see him. We don't know who he is. We can speculate all day long about Obama's name fits perfectly, but his coming to the forefront will not happen while we're here. Just will not happen.
So are you thinking that there cannot be a war, or perhaps a war, and then people cry out for peace because of the war and we're out of here?
So we have to look at it from everyone's perspective. From our perspective, there's nothing that needs to happen. From Jesus' perspective, he's looking so forward to us going to heaven so he can show us everything he did, not because of us, because we're turds, but because of him and what he did. And it's like a father buying his kid a brand new cell phone. He did it. He didn't do it because his kid's so great. He did it because now he has the ability. He wants to give his kid something that he himself, I guess it's not the perfect analogy, but you're happy to give your child those kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? But from the devil's perspective, and it says it right there, that he's going to be waiting to devour us. So it almost appears as though, the second the rapture occurs, he's going to be there waiting, but he's going to have a cover-up story, because he's not only going to lose us, which I think he already knows that's about to happen, but he's going to minimize his destruction or his losses. He's going to minimize his losses by convincing the rest of the world that wasn't a rapture. That was a nuclear blast. That was this, that was that. It literally will only take most households 1 week to run out of food. When you run out of power, everything you have frozen or refrigerated will be gone in a week. How many people actually have? And I'm not telling people to prep. Like I said before, I have a can of beans. I don't have it. I don't have anything. I don't expect to be here. I don't see any reason to have any food. But how many people actually have stored up like dried goods that can last? And then once they do have that, how many can light a fire? Does anybody know how to walk outside and light a fire? You know what I'm saying? Does anybody actually know how to start a fire? You know, without anything. So it's going to be, the rapture is going to occur. It's going to be a very small percentage of people. And then there will be there's going to be a lot of excuses as to what happened. And there's going to be so much chaos. There's going to be no internet. There's going to be no power. There's going to be nothing. And they'll slowly bring back on services. And as they come on, and your phone gets charged back up, they'll be like, no, China attacked us, and it was an EMP, and it's going to be every excuse under the sun. And they're going to try to make everything seem as normal as what we call normal right now. They're going to try to get right back to that. And they're immediately going to start going into, your money's gone, but here's this. And they're not actually implementing the mark until 3.5 years into it, but they're going to begin. Here's a credit card. On this credit card is money. You go to work and we'll put the money on the card, and that's how you pay for everything. Then, of course, I don't know who's breaking into all these cards and stealing people's money, but there's one fail-safe way to do it. Put it in your hand to your forehead, and that'll stop all that. This is, we're dealing with there's a lot of stuff about to happen. It's about to happen.
I think what's interesting too, and I think this is perhaps what people can get upset with me saying this, so I'm just going to throw it out there. You being a Christian in this world isn't a big deal to the world. As in, if you're gone, they're not going to be missing you. And people get mad at me for saying that. They're like, oh no, they're going to be going up and down the streets, knocking on doors. Where's Shane? Where's Shane? No. If you have a massive EMP strike and your power goes out, I might check on my neighbor if something is really weird, like I got no power and all this stuff. But chances are I'm probably going to be making my way to the gas station first, and then I'm going to be making my way to the grocery store first. I got to take care of myself. I got to take care of water, all this stuff. And if you got an EMP strike, you're not online to see, oh, look, the Christians are missing. We're out of here. Like you won't hear that. So for 36 hours, 72 hours over a weekend, it's chaos and carnage because people are trying to figure out what's going on. They can't call their loved ones, whatever. You give time for the media outlets to be scripted as to what to say, what happened. You give them time. And all of a sudden you could say, you know what? We have something going on over here in LA. Tune in tonight. We're going to tell you exactly what happened. And then they tune in. And then the next day they're like, actually, We got rumor now something's going on in Dallas. Could be aliens. We're not sure, but stay tuned. And you can only get access to those news outlets when they want you to. You're not going to remember us. You're not going to remember. I think Tommy goes to church. I don't know. Like, we're not talking about you as a Christian and your brother and you're going up into the rapture. We're talking about people that don't care about the church whatsoever. They wish the churches would burn down.
You're even talking about people who are Christian and go to church all the time. These people are the ones that say, Lord, Lord, didn't I? They have all this work involved. This rapture is not for them. Just the gathering after in 2 Thessalonians is for them. They are going
like
to
the
go
boots
in a
on the
great
ground kind of
multitude.
thing.
They are going to be boots. You're right. You are absolutely right. And the lie that's going to come out is going to be tailored to what everyone wants to hear. Oh, it was aliens. No, it was an EMP strike. No, it was a nuclear strike. That group of hard-headed people that would not bend to society are finally gone. They're out of the way. You might call them Christian, but we're actually the Christians. They are not the Christians.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So the lie will be tailored.
Yeah, like people that are pretending that they're Christians, they go to church, whatever it is, but deep down inside, they don't really believe anything.
No, that's the majority of people that go to church, and they'll be on television going, it was aliens. Okay. Next channel. It was this. Oh, don't believe that. It was this. And the lie will be tailored to which channel you choose. You say, oh, okay, now that, I believe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Never is going to be God took his people out of here, those who trusted in him and him alone.
Yeah.
And in
you're right. That could be the deception, because if you have enough people in a church that aren't Christians, not to throw out Joel Osteen, let's just use him as an example, but let's just say he's still here.
Good example.
and he's on TV every day. People are going to flock to him and go, well, he's a Christian, so it must have been aliens. It must have been something else or whatever, because look at all the people that are calling themselves Christians. They're still here. Are they, though? Are they? Because if they're okay with the idea of not reading their Bible, they don't really believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross, but their wife is like, she's been on me all the time coming to church. Okay, I'm a Christian. I've run into those people.
Yes.
If you poll America, they will say they're Christian.
Yes.
But
I see the comment here. They're like, how many of the 2.5 billion Christians are going? And I'm like, you're calling somebody something that they're not. The rich man that came to Jesus and said, I've obeyed the law since my childhood. And Jesus hung his head and said, then go sell everything. Because Jesus knew what his sin was. Not that Jesus wouldn't have covered it, but the guy wouldn't allow Jesus to cover it because the guy did his own work. And that's why when somebody says 2.5 billion Christians, no, there's nowhere near 2.5 billion Christians. There's maybe 3% of that who have completely surrendered and says, you know what? And we're the worst of the worst. We're the biggest sinners of all. We know we're doomed. We are absolutely doomed if it's not for Jesus. These other people are walking around donating money, buying bills of, in the Catholic Church back in the, I think it was the 1500s, you could actually buy your way into heaven. You give the preacher enough money, he'll give you a piece of paper that says, hey.
And buy your relatives a way out of hell.
Yeah. How many of those people do you think you're going to see in heaven? They would classify themselves as Christian, but they're not. A true Christian rests in the blood of Christ.
Exactly. And that is the distinguisher right there. Just because you say you're a Christian, you're not. And that's what people are getting mad at. They're going,
They really
the Christians are being left behind. No, the ones that are pegging themselves as Christians are being left behind.
Christian does not make you a Christian. Only the trust, 100% trust in the blood of Christ makes you.
Exactly. And the same thing goes for just because you say, I pray to God, that doesn't mean you're a Christian either. Because I just watched. God. Yeah, exactly. I just watched a news outlet where the Yemens, I don't know if that's the Houthis.
Yemenis.
They live in Yemen, and they are jumping up and down because they said they sent some rockets to Israel to bomb them. And they're like, praise be to God. I'm like, well, Guess what? That's not
Mhm.
my God. Just because you say Yahweh, I'm sorry, but that does nothing for me. And this is going to offend a lot of people that think that they know Greek, Hebrew, and Latin. You
It
need to
does
know
nothing for me.
English. You need to know English,
Yeshua. Yeah.
right? Like
Jesus'
study
name is spoken
English.
in many languages, and
Exactly.
Jesus is the
So,
language we
and
understand.
and I could prove it. Aaron created a golden calf. He shaped it, he molded it, and then he said, "Here is
Here's your God.
Yahweh that brought
Mhm.
you out of Egypt." Well, that's
Mhm.
not true.
Correct.
This golden calf didn't bring Israel out of Egypt. It was the Lord Almighty. If you say Yahweh pointed to the Father, that's one thing. But if you're like, it could be the phone, could be Yahweh
Yeah.
to a person.
Yeah.
That could be
Mhm.
their Lord, capital Lord, to that person, not to you. Idols
Mhm.
could be to someone. They could go, yes, because I look at all these stones, the Ouija board, all this stuff, that's my God. But we dumb it down a little bit and go, well, that's little g or whatever. Yeah, okay. But to them, it's capital
Big G. Yeah.
God. So
Yeah.
just because Trump says God, praise be to God, that does nothing for me. Sorry. I don't care
Mhm.
what religious leader or anyone, if they say God and that's all they talk about, it's Jesus Christ, the King of the universe.
And they can't say it.
They
They
can't say it.
literally they can't
No?
say it. And I would say that these people that are in church don't realize that Jesus Christ is absolutely God Almighty. He is
Yep.
the creator. He
Yes.
is the one that came here in the flesh, died on the cross, and rose
Yep.
on the third day for my sins and for
Yes.
yours. And
Yep.
that's the end of it. And there's always some addition that they want to put into that cup of salvation. Okay, yes, I believe that, but you still got to get baptized. You still have to. There's
Yeah.
613 laws.
Yeah.
Pick and
Yeah.
choose which one of the 613 laws
Yeah.
you're going to obey,
Yep.
because that's the one that's going to get you into heaven. And
Yep.
as you go forward, well, I can obey this one too, and I can obey this one
Yeah.
too, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So no, it
And
doesn't work.
what people
You're better
miss
off being a
too.
complete slob and just accepting Jesus, and that's it.
Exactly. And what people miss too is, okay, let's just pretend for a second that I like the idea of following all 613 laws that were presented to Israel,
That would
right?
be a task.
If you miss one, not because
Yeah.
you hate it, but because you missed one, you've broken them all. And now you're
Mhm.
under a curse. And people don't like to talk about that. They're like, there's no curse. Yes,
Mhm.
there is. There's
Yeah.
blessings and there's cursings. The blessing is if you follow everything and you love the Lord your God and you're doing everything by the book, you will be blessed, but nobody can do it. So now you're cursed. That way,
Mhm.
everyone is under the same category all over the planet. They're all in unbelief. That just makes it easier that you look towards Jesus Christ as your Savior, and then you can come to the Father. He made it so easy for us. There's only
He
one
did.
way. There's not 20 ways. It's
Yeah.
easy.
It is right now in the time of grace. It couldn't be any easier. But the devil comes in and just says, "Really?" And I get emails and stuff. People are like, I just did so many bad things in the past," and I'm like, cross through the door and close the door behind you and go forward. Forget about that stuff. I'm not asking people to forgive themselves. I'm telling people
Yeah.
that when you focus on that and you stop focusing on Jesus, and that's why what's her name, Liz, was in. I was talking with Liz over in another show, and she's got 200,000 followers. She
Mm-hmm.
just became a Christian 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Are
nice.
you kidding me right now? Yeah, we were all like piranhas. Like we
Yeah.
were like, what? And we were all giving her advice. And my advice is don't dwell on what you've done. Dwell
Yeah.
on what you're gonna do, and dwell on what Jesus did already. It's already done.
Exactly.
You know?
No, that's good. And I think there's something safe about running to Christ every single day. There's something safe about
Of
that.
course.
Loving on others, loving on people more than
Yeah.
yourself, all that. Like there's no
But just
law
to
against
what end?
stuff.
Yeah,
What's
just to
that,
what
sorry?
end? That my question's always been, to what end are you doing those things? As
Yeah.
long as it's because you have the Holy Spirit and you're changing, and you say, I was a mean person before. I'm going to be a nicer person now because I want to project what's growing inside of me. But it's that fine line of people going, yes, I'm earning points. I'm getting this. No, you're not. No. Jesus did it all. It's over with. It's done. When we're discussing salvation, though, not other things. There's either you're saved or you're not saved.
Yeah.
And what are you saved from? Are you saved from tribulation, or are you saved from the lake of fire?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
that's where people get ornery.
They'll toss out the lake of fire. You're saved from that wrath, but you still got to get tortured through 7 years of tribulation. It's like, no. You're starting to.
You don't have to, no.
Yeah.
But the church will, unfortunately. The church absolutely will, because they brought works into it.
Well, I think what our struggle is today is not that we're saved or not saved. Our true struggle is between the flesh and our spirit. That's it. And our flesh is always, this is what catches people off guard. They're like, I'm a Christian. How come I messed up? Well, it's because you're a human being.
Yeah.
You still live in this body that's trying to take you out. So your job is to ignore the flesh. That's it. That's your job for the rest of your life, to the day that the Lord comes or the day that you die, whichever comes first. That's your job. Ignore it.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting. The next, I think, this is like, I know we say it a lot. It's a high watch time, but it feels like this year is higher than last year for sure.
Well, I worked out the Jubilees, and I was very confident that I had 2025 pegged properly, and then the confirmation came through when what's his name? Here I go with the name problem again. The guy that does timelines as well, big channel. I forgot his name. Hold on a second. It's the guy everybody likes. Hold on. Let me look at his name. You go ahead and talk while I look for it.
Okay. And I'm just reading some of the comments. I think you have somebody from your channel that's kind of a little bit weird. Demonic Christians stand with Israel. We stand with Palestine. So it's like, I can't do anything about them, but it's up to you.
Do I have any moderators on my end? Can we clear that up? It's Rock Island Books, by the way. He came out with a timeline very similar to mine. Do I have any mods in my side? Yeah, I have mods. They're working in there.
Negus Aphrodonus or whatever the person's name. Anyways, not a big deal.
Yeah.
But sometimes people get a little crazy, and I think when you hit a nerve, you get all the demons that start coming out and manifesting and whatever. Like it's crazy, right? They start saying weird stuff. It's like they can't control themselves. They just they get all weird all of a sudden. But what we're talking, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm trying to make a mod. I can't. I don't know how to do it. I'm trying to make a mod. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're on your YouTube channel, if it's open, and they make a the person that you like, if they make a comment that is good, like a good comment, you can make them a mod.
Okay. All right. So if anybody, a billboard for Christ, make a comment on mine, and I'll go grab you and turn you into a mod so you can stop that. I don't like that stuff.
Yeah, it just gets distracting, right? So
it really
does. It
basically
started coming in as soon as we say, you know what, there's only one way to get to heaven, and that is through Jesus Christ. It's biblical. Now you could get mad and you can get all over Israel and just say, oh, they're not the real Israel. What they're doing is not good and all this stuff. But it's only because you haven't read the Old Testament. You haven't read that Ephraim doesn't know who he is. And they're under blindness right now because God is using them as bait to gather all the nations around Israel. And this is why there's a disdain for Israel, even in America. It's starting to creep in against Israel, and people are starting to get confused. But if you read the Old Testament, the Lord basically says that people will be upset at the word Zion, and they'll also be thinking that they're doing God a favor because these people have not obeyed God. So they're like, we're only doing something that you should have done, God, but you didn't. So we're going to help you out, and we're going to take these people out. Meanwhile, God said in Deuteronomy that no nation will be able to erase Israel, period. And I don't know if you watched that little debate with Tucker Carlson.
I missed
and
that. I
Ted
heard about
Cruz.
it. It was
Yeah, basically, I appreciate what Tucker Carlson was trying to do, but I think he was wrong as well. I appreciate what Ted Cruz was trying to do. I love them both, but he was wrong as well because he's using, I believe it was Genesis 10 or Genesis 14, talking about those that bless Israel will be blessed. Those that curse Israel will be cursed. He's actually using a verse where Abraham was to be blessed. If anyone comes at Abraham, they will be cursed. If they say something against him, they'll be cursed. If they bless him, they'll be blessed. But if you go on to the rest of the Old Testament, it says, well, God is trying to purify and purge Israel because he can't forget what they did. They worshiped every god under the sun, but because he has promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he has to keep his promise. But he says, I'm going to punish Israel, but not to the full extent. Like, I'm not going to erase them. But any nation that gets in the way, I'm going to erase them. They're going to become dust, and there's not going to be anything left of them. So that's the part that Ted got right and Tucker got wrong is, yeah, you could come against the government and say, you know, that move that they made, that policy that they did yesterday, that's pretty bad. Yes, it is. But we should be praying for Israel. We should be. We should be praying for their protection. Like it or not, it's biblical that they're always going to be around. So get used to it. Get used to it. And then they're going to flip one day to go, we are surrounded. We are about to get extinct. Yahweh, save us. So until that point, you kind of have to live with what's going on right now. Like, I can't change them. This is all prophecy being fulfilled before our very eyes with Israel. And it's all over the Old Testament. You can't even... I tried to fight against this stuff. I'm telling you, the last couple of years, I was kind of confused about Israel and all this stuff. But then you start seeing scripture verse after scripture verse where Israel is going to slowly start making their way back into the land. And you're like, oh, well, that does mirror 1948. Because who else in their right mind would want to go to that piece of land and get pummeled decade after decade with nation after nation trying to annihilate you? Nobody in their right mind would want to do that unless you're being drawn by God himself to go there and move there and live there. That's not an easy place to live. Are you kidding me? They're always under threats. Every day somebody's trying to take them out.
Yeah, I would
all in the Old Testament.
I would very sternly caution anyone to think for a second that God made a mistake in 1948 and these aren't the true Jewish people.
Yeah. See, that's the confusion. That's the confusion that they lead you down a dark path.
Extremely caution them with that mindset because these, like I said, when the rapture occurs, they're going to bring you a lie along with a lot of truth, a lie with a lot of truth. And it's the same thing with the Jews. Well, those aren't the real Jews. Yeah, they are. You brought them in there in 1948.
Exactly.
It's perfectly mathematical.
I know, and I'm telling you, I struggled with that one for a while because if you start going down the DNA thing, you're going to get confused, right?
You want to play with all that stuff, but God did not make a mistake in 1948.
Exactly.
You say, oh, they're just wicked people and they're just this and they're that. They crucified Jesus. Of course they're wicked. What are you talking about right now?
Yep.
Oh, they're going to do this and they're going to do that. Yes, they're going to accept the Antichrist. Of course they're You know,
It's bait.
you've got a sliver in your own eye, 2x4 in your
Yeah.
own eye, while you're pointing out the sliver in theirs. You don't get to sit there and say the Jews are just these horrible, and they do it all day long. They bash the
Exactly.
Jews nonstop. It drives me nuts.
Yes.
And the reason it does drive me nuts is because if they were good,
Yes.
as good as you want them to be, and stack up to your level of what they
Yes.
should be, they
Yes.
wouldn't be bringing in the Antichrist. They have to
Yeah.
bring in the.
Yeah.
God chose this specific group of people because of how they
Yes.
are,
Yeah.
because they would crucify him, because they would bring in
Yeah.
the Antichrist.
Exactly. And I got also hung up on the temple not being built for a little bit. I was like trying to find stuff that, like, because it's
Mhm.
not concrete, but there are verses where God says, you know what? There's something here. These Israelites are addicted to the temple. They want it more than me. So I'm going to use that as bait. And I think, I'm telling you, if you build that temple in Israel, wherever you build it, they will come from all over the place. And that's
Mhm.
plan B.
I
Plan
show
A,
it being built on
build
January
it.
11th.
Sure. Okay. We'll throw out a date for that. Because you have to. That's part of your DNA.
It's
But let's say the temple's built.
Yeah.
Every Jew that calls themselves a Jew, whether they are or not, does not matter. The fact
Mhm.
that they're wanting to go there and live there is in itself, that's all prophecy being fulfilled, because I don't wish that, but they're going to get surrounded. Why? Because they think their protection is the temple. They think because they have that and they have everything set up and everything that they're going to be protected. But we know the first two temples didn't help them at all. They actually got carried away because their temple got destroyed the first time. King Solomon's temple got destroyed. The Romans destroyed the second temple. But there is this false kind of security that everything is going to be the temple of the Lord. And
Mhm.
God's took that away from them, but it's like bait to get them to come back to that land.
Did you watch Jimmy Root, Pastor Jimmy Root from Last Days Awakening, when he did a comparison study to, you know how Philip was out there and he baptized the Ethiopian eunuch?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden he was shot north 400 miles in an instant. He would just disappeared from there and appeared up in northern Israel in an instant. And he did a comparative study to that and said, yes, once they build that temple, he thinks that God is going to supernaturally move every Jew on the planet to Israel because it's the only safe place to be.
It's possible.
Every place else is
I
going to
never
get
thought
wiped
about
out.
that, but yeah,
that's
you're
what
right.
He said.
Like,
he did a really good study, and
Yeah.
I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's a mind blower. Imagine you're sitting there
Yeah.
one day, you're Jewish, you drink your
Yeah.
coffee, tea, whatever Jewish people drink in the morning, I don't know. But
It's-
suddenly, boom, you're in
Yeah.
Israel.
It's like a
Instantly.
horizontal rapture in some ways.
And that's what Philip did. That's exactly
Yeah.
what he did. It was a
Yeah.
horizontal rapture. He moved north 400 miles. And
Yeah.
we wonder, why would you put the story in there about that?
Yeah.
Why? What's the
Yeah.
point? And Jimmy Root, like I said, or Pastor, sorry,
Yeah.
can't respect him. Pastor Jimmy Root did an absolutely phenomenal study on that. I was like, my brain melted. I was like, that explains the story of Philip and why that's in there.
Yep.
You know, everything in the Bible has a reason and a purpose. What other reason and purpose would that have? You know?
Yeah, it's a good point, because we think of just the idea of using planes and
Mhm.
boats and trains and all this kind of stuff. But if you want to get this done pretty lickety split,
Mhm.
then it would kind of make sense. I can't build a case, but it's a strong argument that it could be that, especially the ones that maybe don't have the dollars to get across, all of a sudden they're all
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
and they're surrounded. Like, they are surrounded, and we get examples again. Like, I keep telling people, the reason why you read the Old Testament is you're going to get examples for our admonition, not ammunition, admonition. Like, we learn stuff from
Yeah.
the Old Testament. So here's an example. I think who's the guy's name? I think it was Jehu or something like that. One of the guys, one of the judges. Where was he? I'm trying to think here. Calculating. Basically, what he did was he gathered all the people that worship Baal. And what he said to them is, hey, we're going to do a big festival tonight. So I'm going to need you to go into the temple of Baal and we're going to worship. But don't let anybody that doesn't worship Baal, because we want to give it all we got. So then everybody that worshiped Baal went into this temple, and he said, okay, look around. Make sure there's nobody that doesn't love Baal just as much as you. Make sure. And they all looked around. Nope. It's only Baal worshipers. Okay, lock it up. Kill everybody here. Everybody in this temple. Don't let, if anybody escapes, I'm putting that on your blood. And so they killed them all. So I think the same idea would happen on the opposite end of the spectrum. You got to get all the Jews into Jerusalem. You got to pack them in, and you got to surround them with nations that can't stand them. And they actually think they're doing a good thing on behalf of God.
They really do.
And they think they're going to extinct Israel, and that's going to be their demise. Because whatever they thought to do to Israel is going to come back on them. So if they think they're going to shoot them with some kind of a special weapon, that special weapon will come back on them. And again, I can prove this through scripture over and over again. However you approach a person goes all the way back to stoning. If you accuse someone as a thief and you want to stone them, and you're wrong because you're only one witness or both witnesses are false witnesses, you have to be stoned. People miss that. They think, oh, you could say something, you could accuse somebody and then get off because you're like, oh, okay, I was wrong about that. No. In biblical days, if you accuse somebody, it was so serious. If you messed up, it's your turn.
That's absolutely the way
you get killed that exact way. So that's what's going to happen to the nations. However strong they come against Israel, it's going to bounce back to them. I could prove that all day long in scripture. Esther, the book of Esther, Naaman, I think it was Naaman, wanted to, what's his name?
Haman, yeah.
Haman, yeah. He wanted to hang Mordecai. So he built this big contraption. And when he goes to show up, one of the servants is like, you know what? There is gallows out here. Why don't we hang him on there?
The paint is still fresh.
The paint's still fresh. So that's something that you got to be cautious of if you're coming against Israel. And I think that's what Ted Cruz was saying. We're to bless them. So if you don't know how to bless Israel, do this. Shut your trap. It'll save your life.
Yeah, if you can't do the blessing, at the very least, stop being part of the problem that is cursing them. Yeah, 100%. You're right. I like that. Yeah. And I don't know where this deep-seated hatred comes in, because like I said, if you look at it from a Christian perspective, a true Christian perspective, these guys had to crucify Jesus. That was the plan. These guys have to accept the Antichrist. What part of no other group, even Pontius Pilate didn't want to crucify him. There is no other group on the face of the earth that would have crucified him. There is no other group on the face of the earth that will accept the Antichrist. These are the people that will do that. They'll bring the Noahide laws back in. They're going to do all kinds of terrible things.
Yes.
Point it out all you want, but that's what they're supposed to do. It's what's written in the Bible.
Exactly. And that's what drives us crazy. It's because it
drives me nuts.
It's all laid out in front of us. It's bait. What do you think bait is? Exactly. Bait is something that you're gravitating towards, and you're like, I gotta take this bait, and then it's a trap.
It is always a trap.
Yeah, we could be caught up in it, so we have to be so careful.
Yeah.
If you start pointing the finger, you could be caught up in that trap and not know it.
It's an ugly trap, and once you get into it, it says, if you curse Israel, I will curse you. Is it really worth it to be upset? Because ultimately, when you are upset, you're living worldly. We don't live worldly. We live heavenly. You know, why? I don't care what happens here. I don't want it directly happening to me or my kids, but you know what I'm saying? I want to get out of here. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this rapture more than anything on the face of the earth. That's what I'm looking for, you know?
And if you talk to an ordinary Orthodox Jew, if there's such a thing as ordinary, they don't want to talk about heaven. They don't.
Mhm.
They want
No.
their land and they
It's
want
in
their
their
temple.
DNA. They
Yeah.
are the ones that inherit Earth. They're so looking forward to an
Yes.
Earth
And
where
you can't blame
they
them.
dominate.
Yes.
And guess
Yes.
what they do during the millennium? The
Yep.
Jew dominates. They're the
Yes.
ones propagating
And if
the future of mankind.
and if
Not
you talk
us.
exactly, if you talk to Christians, we don't want a piece of dirt. We don't want a piece
Mm-mm.
of land. We want to be in heaven. So it's a
Mhm.
beautiful thing that we got going on.
It really
we
works
got-
out for the
We got
best.
people that want land, and we got people that want their real estate in heaven. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So if you are a how do you call what do they call it when people don't like Jewish people? There's a term for it. Anti-Semite. If you're an
What is that term? What is it? Yeah.
I really don't know.
something. Yeah.
Anti-Semitism. If you're an anti-Semite, guess what? The future of mankind is all Jewish. Get
Yeah.
ready for it.
Yeah.
Because it's all Jewish.
Yeah.
You know? The
Well, yeah,
Gentiles
like
go to
if you
heaven.
think about what Paul says, he says, look, here's a real Jew, the one that's circumcised on their heart. That's how
Yeah.
you could tell that they're a real Jew. There is
Mhm.
no Jew, Gentile, male, female, all this stuff in Christ. Like
Well,
he
yeah,
tries
no,
to break it down, right?
we are grafted into the family. That part I get, but I'm saying biologically,
Right.
the future of mankind is
Right.
all
For-
Jewish.
Yeah,
and
for
the
sure.
12
for
tribes
sure.
the 12 tribes of Israel represent all
Yes.
the different nationalities around the world as far as genetic code were concerned, because they went out everywhere. They
Oh, yeah.
came to,
It's mixed.
you know,
Quite a
yeah, they went to Ethiopia. We have the Ethiopia.
Yeah.
They went to Africa. They went
Yeah.
all over all over the world. So it's not about color of skin. That's just pigmentation. It is about every beautiful thing that God created in His image will be there,
Yes.
and that's that. Every skin
Yeah.
tone will be there. You know, everything will be
Yeah.
there. So I don't want to give the illusion that I'm saying just Jewish people. Jewish
No.
people encompass all the races. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you hit something there, because all you have to do, again, is just read the Bible just a little bit. You can get little
Just a
hints.
little.
Look
bit.
at Joseph. Who did he marry? A Jewish woman? No, he married an Egyptian. So
Yeah.
now you have Ephraim and
Moses.
Manasseh that are half
Mm-hmm.
right there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and when people bring that into it too, they're like, "Well, God was upset. He wanted the bloodline to be pure." No, He was trying to weed out the Nephilim DNA,
exactly.
you know. And He finally did by the time He got to Noah, and He wiped out everything. And what's left was that was on that ark was not Nephilim DNA. Somehow the Nephilim made it through, but I don't think it had anything to do with those 8. I think they made it through by maybe a bunker somewhere or something that they had protected. A couple, they say that they made it through. The Bible says that they were before the flood and after, which means somehow maybe they stored up like we do now in Antarctica. I think we have this huge
Nephilim juice or
place where
something?
Huh?
Like Nephilim juice somewhere on the ark?
Yes, Nephilim juice. We did the same thing with seeds from around the world. We got them all stored up and saved in the event of a catastrophic event, a problem. They could bring all these seeds back out, right? So the same thing would apply. Maybe there was an underground bunker with Nephilim juice.
Well, what's interesting
How do you
is
come up with this stuff?
I know, eh? What's interesting is with regard to Noah and his family, we don't know anything about Noah's wife nor his daughter-in-laws. Okay?
Well, every race had to be there because we're all here.
Yes, exactly. But the one son that got cursed, which maybe could be hinting at the idea of a little bit of Nephilim juice in him, was Ham. Right? Like Ham did something, we don't know why.
It's possible. Yeah, he had sex with his mother. I know what he did.
Because their descendants moved into Canaan.
Yeah.
And that we know for a fact that there were giants in Canaan when they moved into that area. So who knows what's going on there? The point is that Paul makes, I think, if you go down genealogy, you're going to get lost. You're going to get stuck. But you have to realize that God draws every one of us. And I think the people that he is drawing to Jerusalem are the Jews. Because again, you're not going to want, like, Chinese people aren't migrating in huge swaths to go to Israel. They're not. They're
Right.
not doing it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Canadians will visit, but we don't mind living in -50 weather. We don't mind it here. But there are pockets of families that are like, I got to sell everything and I got to move to Jerusalem. It's not me.
Mhm.
My citizenship is in heaven. And I'm okay with that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we are at the 1 hour mark. I
Yes.
promised I would only be about an hour because
But
tomorrow I'm
we're
on
so
as well.
exciting together.
Yeah. No, this is good, but I also want to respect our time so that next
Yeah.
time I do something, people go, well, last time I was on Shane's show, he went for 4 hours. So I'm not going on. So I want to keep it short, but you get final thoughts.
I get final thoughts. Keep looking up, people. Something I think is going to happen on July 4th. And I believe that I believe we have to be out of here by September the 15th on the Feast of Trumpets. I really do. I can't believe we're still here. I can't
Right.
believe we're still here, but it's all being set up. Everything's falling into place, not falling out of place. And the rapture's about to occur. Just hang on. Keep looking up.
I like it. That's good. All right. If you don't mind being in the back, I'll just put you in the back and then I'll say goodbye
Okay.
to everyone.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Mike, for being on the show. Really appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. That was Mike. So if you want to go check out his channel, he's got timelines as well. I think he said September. I think he said. But go check out his channel, subscribe to his channel. And I thank you guys for hanging out on a Saturday. You guys could be doing anything else on the planet, but you decided to hang out here for an hour. So thank you. Appreciate you guys. And don't forget to join me again tomorrow. Same time would be 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye for now.
Black Swan Revelations here on YouTube brought you today's mind-bending journey. Dive into the discussion, your comments, questions, prayer requests, and powerful testimonies of Jesus' love are what fuel this community. Did today's episode hit home? Smash that like button. New here? Subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a live stream or a video upload. Thanks for being part of today's adventure. Catch you in the next video, or maybe even in the clouds. Stay curious, stay blessed.